The passenger door, took it off. It's gonna fail, I know it is, okay, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. That's all anyone can ever ask of anybody, isn't it? There's no point starting some of the easy stuff, getting excited about it all, and then finding out halfway round that can't do it, don't know how to. You know how it works. I think also I'm going to need some extremely thin material to go around that bulge. So the plan at the moment is plasma cut that section out. We'll square off where I've drawn those white lines properly, and we'll cut along that edge there, which means I've got to go over my spanners, which I didn't really want to do, but you know, it is what it is. Instead of following that line, I'm going to follow that line. What I'll do then is I'll just cut a random amount of metal out there, cut a piece of steel that can fit in behind all of this, and then once I'm happy with everything, wire brush this all back to get it down to bare metal, and then I'll probably cut along that seam line and then put the steel in and weld that steel to that seam line on the inside. This is going to be so much harder than I thought. One remove skin. Sorry about the crappy camera work. Right, it's gone. So I think we're going to have to remove that reinforcement. Got no choice on that one. And well, it's a case of going from there, really, isn't it? I mentioned I'm out of practice with a plasma cutter, but the truth of the matter is I haven't had any practice with it, hardly, so that's why it's come out a bit rubbish. But it has saved a lot of noise, which is why I did it. We've still got more to do. We've got to sand this all back now with a flapper disc, clean that all up. This I'm not too bothered about because it's just there for the internal strength. I'm not using it for external. And this line here, which has got really bad, again, not too much of a big deal. I went above the white line, although believe it or not you can't see that because I burnt it away. But we'll wire brush that all back tomorrow. I ain't doing any more today because I now need to run the grinder for a while. So we need to clean that edge up, clean that edge up. I think a piece of box steel across there to support along that line there, so I've got something to weld to. So if I weld the steel into here,
got some water on that cardboard, but it's still there.
Sorry, completely put off. Wife came in moaning at me that the cardboard was burning, which I wasn't aware of. So yeah, I don't know what I said before, but basically we need to have a good old clean up, put a piece of metal across there so we've got something that we can weld to push this against. So that would be the solid piece. I went a little bit above where I wanted to be, but that starts to curve at that point, so we may have to take out all these little rubbers and start again with that. Actually, the problem has dropped a little because I ain't got no hinges now, so it's resting in places where it wouldn't normally rest, but you can see why I want that gone. But now now I'm worried that, oh boy, I might have now made this thing too skinny because she's got a hell of a long old bonnet on her. That's angle iron, but the total bill was 98 quid with the VAT. Sheesh. Anyway, getting back to this, I've actually cut that entire bit out because I'm going to use a piece of that angle. I'm going to cut it down with a plasma cutter. I'm going to put a fillet in here so it welds in against that edge, welds in against this seam along here because double seam, so it's double the thickness. I've even gone out of my way and bought some 6mm welding wire and tips. I'm going to switch the wire out. I'm going to attempt to rebuild that side. I want some strength in there, so I decided to go with the angle instead. I could put a piece of box down there if I wanted, but that won't help me, or will it? Actually it might. The box I've got is over there, look. Actually, I don't know, that might be too thick, I won't fit in that gap. Yeah, I think I might have bought some that's just a bit too thick. A box would be better. Just to put some strength in that area really, because of the hinges. And then what I was going to do was put angle iron along there, but I was going to slit it all the way along and bend it to the shape it needs to be and then weld it in. And then I'll have an overlip. But because that metal down there is 2mm thick and not 1.5, instead of folding it like I was originally planning, because that bead roller will not do 2mm very well, I'll just simply have to weld it all the way along, which will not be easy. I'm not looking forward to it. That's the angle. It's welded in behind there. You can see I blew through a couple of places, but that was expected because I haven't changed the width for MIG welding wire. But I'm happy enough with that at this point in time. Right, that's now shaped as best as I can get it. I did cock it up a bit, but we can rectify that when we come to laying the overlay. I just went a bit low there because I went high here for some silly reason. Not going to affect it. So the next bit is another piece of angle which I've got down there, and we'll quite literally plasma cut loads of lines in the bottom so we can fan it out, and we'll then bend it on the outside edge to that, and then we'll draw it on the underside edge and then cut that straight line out, and then we can weld that straight on the inside with an overhang which is 3mm thick overhang to give me. I need to go just shy of that, because when I try to bend, and I don't even know if I can do it yet, but if we can bend that metal, brilliant. But if we can't, we're going to have to cut it to the edge and just tap the edge down as neatly as I can get it. So I'll probably have to use my torch to heat that metal up so I can hammer it flat, but at risk of warping that whole panel out. Okay, so this is the final piece to go in. That's the best I can do on the shape. Kind of got it back, but I think really that one needs to be there because I clamped them down right where that blasted dent is. Let me just rectify that. There we go, that's more like it. Okay, so we've got a weld under there all the way along, as quickly and as neatly as we can get it, and we've got to tack it all the way along there. So we've got to spot weld as much of that as we can spot weld. I'm not going to be able to do all of it, but where I can, I'm going to. Like on here, that's doubled up steel there. Here, I've definitely got to get under there, but there's some serious gappage going on under there. So we may not succeed there, but we'll have a go. There we go, now welded on the inside. I had to ground it back because I don't exactly know at this point in time how much overhang is going to go on there. I'm actually a little dumbfounded because that overhang there, check that gap out. That isn't even connected. Actually there'll be a reason for that, because I hammered it in. Because of the angle iron I used. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, well there's not a lot I can do about that, to be honest, apart from tack weld down that seam, which I'll do tomorrow. I ain't going to do it today. I bet that didn't record. Right, I've had to add some extra pieces on there. Bit concerned about the hinges because it curves. It's got an arc in it. Land Rover hinges may not work because they'll be fighting each other. One will be at that angle, one will be at that angle. So I've got to find some hinges that will work. A modern car might be like a boot lid or something. I might have to butcher up some hinges from the yard. Not a problem. So next is going to be the skin. Well, I can tell you this much: if that steel is too heavy for the bead roller, which I won't lie, it's struggling like crazy to be honest, then it's definitely going to be too thick to put through the English wheel. So we're going to have to come up with something else, I think. I mean, I'll give it a go. I was thinking about putting some beads in there, some small ones, and hammer them and, you know, wallop them out on my homemade anvil outside, and hope that might be enough. And if I can put it through the English wheel just to tidy them up, because we're filling anyway, possibly, then that might be the way to go. But other than that, no. This is not proving too easy. I should have got thinner metal. This is ridiculously too thick. It's 0.5, 1.5. It's too much. Or 1.6. Sorry, it's too much. Right, a few stitches are in. You can hear it creaking. I don't want to muck it up, so I'm going to let that cool down, and then I'm going to fill in another inch worth there, another inch worth in the middle of there, and another inch there. But I am not doing anything here because I cut that and it all measured up, but when I actually put it in place, it just wouldn't fit. I ended up having to hammer this area up a little higher, and then this piece here out a little bit in order to be able to push it further in. I got it further in up there, but I couldn't get it to work there. And that line is already now starting to sweep down at the wrong angle, but I haven't crushed these areas in yet. So we're just concentrating on that arch, and that bit will be last. So I'm probably going to cut there down, and then this piece has got to be filled in. We'll probably end up going all the way up to there, and I'm hoping that's all I need to do. But well, I'm not going to show all of this because it's terrible. Everything was going to plan up until I put the grinder on with a plenishing disc, and just heated up, and it just whopped out on me like you wouldn't believe. I am so annoyed with this. And the other problem, metal's too thick. Can't do anything with it. It's difficult to bend. I've been on this a whole day. It's yeah, with the other door I won't be doing it with this thick stuff. I shall go and get some thinner stuff. This is just too much. Can't manipulate it, can't bend it, can't do anything with it. So I'm now going to chuck some filler over this and the bottom edge along here right to the end, and I am not showing you the end. That is actually getting some checker plate along there anyway. Okay, new day. I've already sanded one lot down. I'm just putting another lot on. Look, I know, you know, everybody knows that's probably going to crack because it's a bit heavy down the bottom. Not so much around the top, but it is down the bottom. So the plan of action I have in my mind, if and when that cracks, I think now that I've got an English wheel, I'll get a sheet of alley, real thin bit, and I'll make an overskin. So I'll use that as a form, and then I'll cut the whole of that out completely and go like a Land Rover, rivet along the top, and then fold it over and glue it into position with sealants. And I think personally that will be fine. The more weight I can get off this thing, the better anyway. So that's kind of where I am at with this. Not a lot I can do about it. The grinding disc and the sanding disc is what screwed it up. The welding itself went really well, but the metal is just too blinking thick. I mean, it needs to be for that area there where the hinges are going on, but with everything in consideration, that's the way out of it. Skin it. I'm actually thinking about painting it in aluminium paint where there's steel anyway. So that's all going to be alley at the front. The metal framework will go on, and then there'll be a skin of alley over the top of that. So there's going to be a lot of alley. So, you know, we've got big old lumps of steel down there for side protection. There you go, guys. Best I can get it. A couple of high spots that I couldn't get rid of. There and there. The plan is next, when everyone's in bed asleep, I've got a very silent running compressor in that shed, so I'm going to literally put about 3 coats of 2K filler primer over the top. I'm never going to get it perfect. It was never destined to be perfect because I didn't have an understanding of what I was doing. I should have got thinner metal. That would have made a much better job. I know where I went wrong. Hopefully on the next one I'll improve that. In the meanwhile, this is what I got. This is what I'm playing with. This is what is going back on the truck. I didn't take into consideration that line is originally that edge down there. Of course the damn door don't fit now, do it? It's not a problem because we're getting rid of that anyway. So when I do put the door on for real, I'm going to have to cut that all out and rework it, but I was already planning to slice across there anyway and down and just remove the whole lot and start again with a new post. So, but wedged. Oh, it was heavy to lift in and all. But there you go. Give you an idea where this is heading now, and I think it'll look way better. Absolutely way better. Yeah, I like that. Exactly the way I wanted it. Exactly the way I wanted it. Okay. Put the primer on. That didn't go very well. That didn't go very well at all because it was too hot in here. As soon as it came out the gun, it was flipping drying in the air and landed on the dust. But anyway, it is primed. There's still a lot of blemishes, a lot of raised points, a lot of fillings still need doing. I don't even know if this skin is staying because you can see the state of that line. But it does give you a good idea of where it's heading. Maybe I shouldn't say that because you might misread the way I'm putting it. It's going in the direction that I need it to go in. This was an experiment. I did say at the beginning, I need to know if this can be done. Well, it can be done. I just need to do it a bit better than what I've done this one. So we may come back to this at a later date, cut that section out and put a new panel in so it meets up with this one here, because this line is okay, it's acceptable, but that one isn't so, and that's what I'm disappointed about. So with that in mind, yes, we have a door, yes, the bubble is gone, or the blister, whatever you want to call it, and it's primed. I'm not going to put any more primer on it, there's no point. I've still got raw metal everywhere, it's going to go rusty. I've got more filling to do anyway, which means I've got to sand this sucker down again before I do that. So it's good enough for me at this point in time. So with that, I mean, I shouldn't really beat myself up over it because it came out okay. It just didn't come out the way I wanted. That side there, and that's my own fault. I got lazy. It is simple as that. I got lazy, I got tight-fisted, it was hot weather. Had I cut a proper piece of metal out, I could have done that properly, but I didn't. I only got myself to blame for that. The next door though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice straight across and I'm going to replace the whole of that panel. I'm going to use my English wheel, I'm going to get some thinner steel, I'm going to bead roll it properly, and I'm hoping it will come out a lot better than this one. I'm also going to ease off with the grinder, which means I'm going to change my wire to 0.6 instead of 0.8, and that way I can turn that heat right down, and hopefully I won't leave such big mountainous welds. That's where I think I've been going wrong. Although the welding didn't warp on this, it was the sanding after, because I put so much pressure on the welds to get them down as quick as possible. That really did superheat the metal up, and that buckled it. I was really angry about that, but that's the learning process we go through. Now I know I shouldn't make that mistake again. So I'm now going to put this outside tomorrow morning as a finished job, and I'm going to get the bonnet. I'm going to put that on the truck tomorrow. I'll put the bonnet on the truck tomorrow and we'll measure that up and try and figure out how much I've got to take out of the centre. I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'm not. There's loads of visions in my head, but it's all now falls on that bonnet. So if I mess the bonnet up, I'm afraid to say it's done. We will take that Morris Minor off, chop it all up into little tiny pieces, and start hunting out for Land Rover components, because it is the only thing I know what to do with it. I don't have any other ideas. I can't physically lift any major car bodies on because they're too heavy. I don't have the gear to do it. I'd go out and buy a small van tomorrow otherwise, and just literally put it on the chassis, bolt it all down and build something with that, but it isn't something I can do. I don't have the facilities to that, sadly. Got the imagination for it, but just not the facilities. So we'll park that up tomorrow and we'll get that bonnet in. So thank you ever so much for the likes and comments and anything else you did, shares, etc. And we'll see you on another one that's coming up. Bye bye.